Hi, so recently I jumped the gun and upgraded to some very high-end closed-back headphones. As I was in the market for such a product, my research led me to the Focal Elegias, a relatively new product in the French company's Home Hi-Fi line of headphones. So for some reason, I ran back, grabbed the gun off the linesman, pulled the trigger and purchased the Focal Elegias. Admittedly though, this was used as I don't have money coming out of my ears and I had to sell my Hi-Fi Man HE5SE planar dynamic open back headphones to of course fund this purchase. One thing at least, the model name's a bit easier to say this time around. It's quite funny really, a lot of tech companies struggle with naming their products. I mean the car industry's managed to get it right, so why can't they? So for those of you now wondering if I thought this upgrade was worth it, I'll give you the short answer first. And that's yes, this headphone is very impressive and sounds great, but it's not without its shortcomings, such as an odd dip to the mid-bass that affects lower tones and vocals. So I'm going to start by rolling some B-roll first, giving you a good look at the headphone. Afterwards we'll talk about the highlights and cons of the headphone, and then we'll go into greater detail on all of the individual parts of it, such as sort of the fit and finish, the build quality, what's included in the box, the quality and signature of the sound. Right, leaving you on that, here's the aforementioned B-roll. Right, so I hope you've enjoyed that, and that it gives you a good look at, what the headphone looks like and whether or not you like the design or not. The design has sort of grown on me over time. Initially I thought it looked a bit like plasters actually, like the back of it was a bit odd. I wasn't keen on the design of the back plastic, but over time it's sort of grown on me. I like the headband, I like the Focal logo and how it's sort of laser etched out and it's actually ported as well. So you'll note I said plastic there. Yeah, that's right, this very expensive premium headphone, the main build material of the ear cups is plastic. The internal frame is metal though, the yokes are aluminium, the connectors around the ear, not the ear plugs, the jacks, the audio jacks of the cable, they're aluminium as well. The actual jack is, gold plated, not that that means anything. The headband is mostly leather with a suede-like grey material or fabric. On the underside of it, I wish this was black instead of grey. The earpads use this same material but do have an inside section that is also grey, the majority of them are black. Right, instead of babbling on about build and materials, I'll talk about the highlights of the headphone and also the cons. The detail retrieval of the headphone is outstanding and it can really pick up really small and minute details in tracks which I sort of haven't heard before. Though this isn't actually always what you want, and sometimes it sort of ruins a song in bringing out details you don't want to hear, like cracks and pops that are actually in the master itself. Really odd actually. One example of which is the song Dancing in the Moonlight that I really enjoy on sort of my lower end headphones I found, or used to really enjoy, and now when I listen to it on this I just hear these odd details that I don't actually want to hear. Compressed music from Spotify and the such like can really begin to sound very lacking as well. So then I found myself having to use lossless audio services like Qobuz or not quite Tidal, but yeah, Tidal and things like that to try increase the resolution of the actual song or the quality of the tracks I was listening to. But when the track and the audio was right, the headphones did really shine and sounded really musical, and the overall sound signature is actually very pleasant to listen to. I was initially worried the headphone might actually be quite fatiguing, but it's far from it. Another highlight is the cans are actually spring loaded. The spring is very, loose and it's not very, tight or anything, but it just ensures a really good seal when you're wearing the headphones. And for a closed back headphone they feel remarkably open. I think this is down to the fact that the Focal logo is actually, transparent, or it's a hole, it's etched out, and so there is actually a port there for air to travel through and it doesn't completely feel closed off. The sound is very mid-forward but still maintains a really good low bass, and you almost get the feeling of like a subwoofer as it really does hit quite low. The design of the headphone is really unique and it stands out amongst, all the boring sort of designs out there, so that might appeal to you as well. Right, moving on to all those cons as well. The included cable quality is actually quite poor. It really suffers from a lot of microphonics. It's really annoying actually, and it's very short as well. I really wish Focal would improve this. And the material of the cable isn't bad, and the designer, the colour looks very nice, but you can just rub it on your shirt and you begin to hear it into the headphone. I don't know if this is because The actual driver is quite a low impedance as well, that's 32 ohms, so it's a sensitive driver as well. And as I mentioned before, the detail of the driver can actually ruin some tracks as well. And in the frequency response, there's this weird dip in sort of the mid-bass area, but I guess affects the lower tones and vocals like I mentioned sort of in the introduction. So some tracks where the vocal or artist might be singing in a lower voice sort of gets, recessed and muddied up against the other mix. It almost sounds like it's veiled here. Before going over some more thoughts about the headphone, I'll just mention what's included in the box. You of course get the headphone, but you also get a very premium form-fitting case of the headphone. There's enough room for the cable and perhaps even a small DAP, or portable DAC that you could use with your mobile device. Also of course there's the cable, which comes included with a 3.5mm to 1/4 inch headphone jack adapter. There's also the usual product information slips and manuals. The stuff that's not really worth looking at, but what is worth looking at is the white paper on the Foobar website that goes into great detail over the design and internal design of the Foobar Elegia and Elegia. It's clear a lot of thought and attention has gone into the internals of the actual ear cup, where most manufacturers just leave it completely empty or sort of hollow, maybe they fill it with some foam. The inside of the ear cup looks more akin to a studio with diffusers and acoustic panels everywhere. It's really quite interesting. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is the sound staging of the headphone itself. The soundstage is actually quite intimate, but much wider sounding than my last closed-back headphone, the Audio-Technica A990Z, another one of those poor names. Since they are closed, they don't leak much sound at all, so you can always use them in busy environments or office-type environments. You won't disturb anyone at home when you're listening at loud volumes, a feature that I quite appreciate. I'll just touch on the comfort of the headphone. The earpads themselves do get quite warm, and the headband and the clamping force is a little bit higher than what I'd want. And over a long listening period, you can get a little bit uncomfortable with pressure build up over the ears, probably down to the springs within the ear cups. Though it's not painful, it is a bit fatiguing. Though I complained about the cable, it is user replaceable, simply using two 3.5mm mono jacks for the stereo pair. So going back to the question of if I think the headphones are worth it, and if the upgrade was worth it for me, I definitely think so. I actually really appreciate the increase in detail, and for certain tracks it really does sound pretty amazing actually. They're definitely a step up from anything else I've listened to, and though being a dynamic driver unlike a planar dynamic driver as my previous headphones are, their driver is actually still very fast and has a lot of control. It's clear then that the Elegia is truly a well-engineered headphone with a lot of thought and attention gone into it, and though they are expensive, you are at least getting something for that cost. That is substantial and not just repurposed or rebranded technologies. Right, so I hope that review was at least useful to someone out there. Do check out some of my other content on my channel. I've got some reviews of DACs and headphone amplifiers, and I'm going to be releasing some other stuff shortly.